Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 25 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I work, where I live, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for taking the time to check out this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've been up to with my knitting and other crafting shenanigans. Today is Saturday, July 25th, 2020. It's hot, it's humid. Ugh. I'm perfectly happy to stay inside in my air-conditioned home, and it's still warm in here. The apartment's pretty big, and it has the air conditioning doesn't seem to make it all the way to this end of the apartment, and it's not as cold as I'd like it in here. I'm just drinking water. It's early afternoon. I've had enough tea for the day. I don't really feel for more tea. Just plain water. I might switch to a Diet Coke later on, but we'll see. Anyway, enough rambling about nonsense. So I do not have any finished objects to show you this week. Next week, cross your fingers, next week we should have a finished object to see. I'm getting very close to finished my stillness shawl, and I should have that 100% done, ends weaved in, blocking everything. I'm really hoping to have that done to show you next week. So nothing in terms of finished objects this week. And for my works in progress, I have made progress on all 3 of my whips this week. So without further ado, let's dive in and see what progress I've made on my whips this week. So first off is my, as I mentioned already, my Stillness Shawl Mystery Knit Along. It's a pattern by Helen Stewart, The Curious Handmaid, and this week we had the final clue released just on Thursday morning. I was out of town most of the day on Thursday, so I didn't get quite as much time Thursday and Friday to do as much knitting as I normally would have done on this project before I do my filming on Saturday. I was hoping to have the knitting finished for the podcast, but I still have 6 rows plus the bind off to do, and each row is 520 odd stitches, so it takes me a little while to get through that. The bind off is going to take a little while to get done as well. So anyway, for this project I'm using 4mm needles, or US size 6. I'm used to the millimeter sizing, so I usually tend to list it that way, or think of my knitting needles in terms of millimeters, because that's what I grew up with and what I learned to use. I'm using my own hand-dyed yarn for this project. I have 2 shades of purple, a light purple, a darker purple, and then a light medium gray is the 3rd color. And for the final clue, we're just using, I'm all finished with all the 2 purples, and for this final clue, we're only using the gray yarn. So I cast this on 5 weeks ago on, I think, the 25th of June. I'm guessing at that date, late June. And as I mentioned, the final clue came out on Thursday. It's the lacy, little bit of a lacy trim border on it. So since it is still a mystery, I will give a spoiler alert. I will put the time. When I'm ready to show it, I will tell you to look away if you still want this to be a surprise, or if you haven't looked at the last clue yet. And when I do start showing it, I'll post a timestamp here to let you know when it is safe to come back and look again, so that if you do still want this to be a surprise, I won't ruin the surprise for you. And by next week, they will have had the reveal. I think they said the reveal will be on the 31st of July, so I won't have I won't have got that far, or I won't have filmed my next podcast before the 31st of July. So I'm going to be okay to actually reveal my shawl next week. They're sawing something either out front of us or downstairs. I apologize if you can hear that noise in the background. Oh well. So anyway, my stillness shawl. Let's try to do this without losing all my pulling my needles out. I'm all tangled up with my yarn. Hold on a second here. This is the yarn I'm using, or one of the colors. And so if you have not got this far yet, and if you don't want the surprise ruined yet, or the mystery ruined yet, look away. I'm going to bring this all into frame now, and again, if you don't want the surprise ruined, look away, and I'll put a timestamp over here someplace to let you know when it's safe to come back and look. So without further ado, here's where we're at now. It's all scrunchy bunchy, and it's not all showing up in here. I'll have to insert nice pictures next week as well once I have it all blocked. So this week, it's only the gray section. This darker purple was clue number 4, and clue number 5 is this gray portion here. So it's just a simple, pretty 2-row repeat that gives us this really pretty little kind of a ripple design. I'm curious to see what it looks like once we get it bound off. But that gives us a nice look at what the lace pattern looks like. So I think it's really pretty. I've seen a few other people have added beads in there. In hindsight, that might have been fun to do. So I've put it away. You can look back again now if you've looked away. So as I mentioned, I have 6 more rows left to go, plus the bind off. So the bind off again over, I think we're at 523 stitches. It's a lot of stitches. So that, I'm really excited to be able to show off the finished object. I'm hoping to have the finished object ready to show you guys next week. I'll probably finish the other 6 rows, and the bind off, I'll finish that off this weekend. I'm planning on just kind of taking it easy the rest of today, and plan on getting a little bit more knitting done on that today and hopefully tomorrow. So I'm hoping by the end of the weekend the knitting is done, and then I'll be ready to get the blocking mats out and get this beauty blocked out. My second work in progress that I've got a fair bit of progress done this week, although I should have coordinated this a little bit better because I'm just starting another row or another little mitered square. This is my, what was I decided I was going to start calling it? My scrap wrap. So this is my sock yarn scraps mitered square. Originally it was going to be a blanket. I've decided to convert it into a wrap just to throw over my shoulders, or like a nice wide scarf that I might wear out. But I suspect it's just going to be something I'm going to have it thrown over the chair in the living room, and I'll just wrap it across my shoulders to keep me all nice and toasty warm in the winter time when it gets cold and drafty in our living room. Same reason it doesn't get cold all the way down to this end of the apartment. It also doesn't get really warm all the way down to this end of the apartment with this big old drafty place. So my scrap wrap, I managed to add 7. Where did I write this down? Yeah, I added 7 squares and a couple rows on the next square. So I have 2 balls of Knit Picks palette that I still want to add on to it. One is this kind of yellowy color that's going here, and the other one's kind of a tealy greeny blue color that I'll add next. So I added 7 squares. The first ones, some of them I added are these 3, the green, purple, and pink. And then I also added some squares on the other end. Let me just get this untangled. I added these ones as well. So it's a navy blue, a red blue, and a brown color. So I tucked in a few more of the ends, and again, as I mentioned, I've added seven new squares to this. So now I'm down to, stay there, I'm down to needing 86 more squares to go. Once I'm done with my stillness shawl, I'm going to have those 3 leftover skeins of yarn to add to the scrap blanket. So I'll have those 3 to add, and then I'll start cycling back into yarns that I've already used for this. So for that one, again, I'm using just all of my leftover fingering weight yarns, whether they were from socks, whether they were from whatever projects I was using fingering weight yarn with. Using all of those leftovers to go into that. Once I'm finished with the mitered square wrap, I'm going to continue using those leftovers and make myself probably a granny stripe crochet blanket, or like a lap blanket for myself to keep the other half of me warm and sitting in the living room. And so for that one, I'm using 2.5 millimeter needles, or a US 1.5. So that's what I'm using for that. And my third work in progress is my Tenya sweater. Last week, when I was doing the editing last week, I realized I was calling it a Tenya shawl half the time. It's a Tenya sweater. So sorry, I gotta scoot over here. That is living in my Fringe Supply field bag. And I'm so happy I got this. I don't know if many of you have seen that the Fringe Supply company is closing, and they had a sale with all of their stock was on sale. I considered getting another field bag, and I contemplated it for too long, and everything they had in field bags is gone now. They have a few other things still in the store, so I might look at some of the things, but I'm really happy that I have this bag. So my Tenya sweater is living in here. I have added a bit more to it. I'm using, for this one, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes for this one. I'm using Quince & Co. Turn in the colorway Terracotta, and I'm using 3.5 millimeter or US size 3 needles on this. And here's my fancy little needle stopper protector, whatever you call it. Once I'm putting this away and going in back into the bag, what I do is I just scooch everything down onto the cables, put the 2 needles together, and I just take one of my hair elastics and just wrap it around until it's all nice and solid, and it's not going to get anywhere on me. I had, on a previous project, I had done that. I pulled everything over onto the needles, or onto the cable, left the needles out as I have with this one, tucked it into a bag, and when I pulled it out, I yanked the needles out of the project, and I was not a happy girl. Not a happy girl at all. So anyway, I've made a good bit of progress this week. This is one I like to have just sitting beside me while I'm watching TV in the evening with the hubby. It's nice, mindless. I'm just knitting around and around and around in circles. So I've added another couple inches of stockinette to this sweater, and like I say, I'm making good progress. I still have a long way to go before it's time to split for the split at the armholes. I am going to have to rework and kind of tweak the pattern a little bit once I get to the point where I'm dividing for the armholes and mapping out what I want to do with the armholes. The pattern has fairly tight sleeves on it, and I do not have dainty arms. So what I want to do is I'm going to have to modify that a bit to make the sleeves larger so that they'll fit on my arm. So I'm thinking I'm going to read through some of the threads. I'm going to ask for some advice in some of the forums about the pattern, about enlarging the arms. I know it did recommend to go up to the largest, or measure your arms and choose the pattern size that fits your arm, and then the body is what it is. But that's still not going to work well for me. So what I will do is what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to just make the portion from the arm where you divide for the arms. I'm just going to make the armhole portion longer or deeper, and then I'll just cast on or pick up more stitches around the armhole so that I have more stitches going down the sleeve. That's the plan. I'm going to just read up on that a bit more and see if other people have had the same kind of problem, what they've done, other than just knit the size of the arm. Knit the size to fit the arm, and then have the body the size that goes along with it. So it is an oversized sweater, so that works out fine for most people. So anyways, that's a fair bit of rambling about that. So those are my works in progress. So what I've managed to get done during the week. And I'm really happy with that. I was hoping to get a little bit more done, but we had to go out of town for something, and my husband's work related stuff, and so we had to leave Wednesday afternoon. We didn't get back home until later on Thursday, so I did lose out on a little bit of knitting time, but I still managed to get a fair bit done. While we were on that little road trip, I was able to stop in at a Tuesday morning store that happens to be closing. And this will lead us into my stash enhancement section, or stash acquisition section. So we stopped in at this Tuesday morning, and I love Tuesday morning. And I'm sad to see that this one is closing. It's a relatively new location. It's one that is it's easily an hour's drive from our place. So I don't go there often. I've probably only been there 3 or 4 times in total, including on Thursday afternoon when we stopped there. But I think the location is actually closed 100% at the end of the weekend, this weekend. So everything they had in the store was 60 to 70% off. There was not an awful lot left there. I did post a little haul video on my other YouTube channel that shows you everything I bought. A lot of it was journaling stuff and things along that line. So there's a lot more detail about that there. But what I did buy, I did find just one skein of yarn. Sorry, I gotta sneak off the screen completely. So they only had they had a handful of skeins of yarn, but only one of them was fingering weight. The rest were either weights of yarn I wasn't interested in, or colors I didn't really like, or just a few things that I'm looking at and thought I just have no idea what I would actually use that for. So this is what I did end up getting. So this is, I'm not sure if I've got too much of a glare on here. Maybe it shows up there. This is Wisdom Yarns Stanza. It's a yarn out of Turkey. I'm hoping that this is in focus for you guys. Or I don't know if this is even working. So the colorway is called Burn. Is that what it said? Yeah. And it's 100 grams, 459 yards. And I got it a Tuesday morning. It was, let's see if I can show on the price tag. They say that the market value of this in stores is that even focused? Anyway, I think I'll give up on trying to focus that on there. The regular price of this was listed to be $18. The Tuesday morning price was $6.99. I had bought another one of these in a different colorway earlier. I paid the $6.99 for it, but when this was on 60% off, I ended up getting this for $2.79. So that was I was really happy with that. So it's a pretty yarn. I think I'm going to use it I'll probably use it for a pair of socks. Pretty sure I'll use it for a pair of socks. And yeah, so for under $3, I'm not going to turn down a skein of yarn for less than $3. Particularly like a 100 gram skein of sock yarn. It's coming home with me. So that was my stash enhancement. So I'm trying not to buy a lot of yarn because I do have plenty to work with. But I did want to, I did get that one the other day. And other things, I pulled out my sewing machine. I made myself I finally sewed myself a face mask. I like it as much as you can like a face mask. It's a fairly simple pattern. I found it, I just followed a tutorial from YouTube. If I can find it again, I'll link it down below. I like this elastic. It's the thin round elastic, like a thin hair tie. I ordered more elastic. I have a fair bit more fabric, and I only had a little sample of elastic, so I ordered a big chunk of a big line, multiple yards of the, what do you call it? The elastic. So I ordered a bunch of the elastic on Amazon. It might be downstairs by now. It's supposed to be delivered sometime today. So I am planning on sewing a couple more of these masks. My husband tried that one on. He also likes the fit of that one. And so I'll probably sew up a few more for both of us so that we each have several masks. He typically just wears the bandana, but he kind of likes the fit of this one as well. So he's asked if I could make him a few also. So I'll probably sew up a few more of those over the next few days. And what else did I want to talk about? I have more Zoom meetings. One of my boss at work sent out an email. There are Zoom training session things. They didn't say how long they were. I'm assuming they're probably an hour each. But they are every day, Monday through Friday for the next 3 weeks. Zoom meetings are going to break me. Seriously, they are going to break me. Anywho, enough griping about that. Plus side, I can happily knit while I'm sitting in these Zoom sessions. So I've got at least 15 hours. Oh, Lordy. That sounds bad when I say it that way. I've got at least 15 hours of nice, easy knitting time while I stare at a computer screen. I am trying to, before the school semester starts up, I am trying to take a few, particularly the Saturdays, just where I'm going to take them off. I want to spend time doing my podcasting. I want to spend time doing other arts and crafts things. I want to completely ignore work stuff for at least the one day a week. I don't get Sundays off really, because my husband is a pastor, so we're busy with church stuff on Sundays. So I really only get, right now for the next month, I'm only going to have the Saturdays for doing nothing. We were chatting yesterday and I said I wanted to do nothing. My husband said, oh, do you want to go and do some shopping or go and do this or go? I'm like, no, I actually want to do nothing. Once I'm done with the editing of this podcast, I literally just want to sit and stare into space for a while, or just stare at my knitting, watch some kind of movies on Prime or some stuff on YouTube. I just want to do a bunch of very little. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to quit griping about that. One other thing I wanted to do today, and since I just noticed that this is episode 25, and episode 25 in total, and I think my 5th or 6th episode since I've relaunched this new YouTube channel, is I want to do a small giveaway. For those of you who are subscribed and who watch this channel and all that good stuff, I just wanted to do a quick little giveaway. I want to give away one of these skeins. These are one-of-a-kind skeins of yarn that I've dyed. The ones in this particular tub here they're all sport weight. They are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. They're each 100 grams or 274 yards. So what I'll want to do is, the person who wins, I will mail you a skein, one of these skeins of yarn. Not these ones, but one of these ones, the sport weight. And there are, like I say, they're 274 yards, 100 gram skein of sport weight merino nylon mix. So whoever wins they get to choose which one they want. So there's a variety of different kinds of yarn. And here's one example. I think what I'll do is I might take them all out of here and get a good picture and let the person who wins choose which one they want. So what I'm asking for in the, come on out, I'm going to show some more of these. So again, these are I hand dyed these each myself, and they're all one of a kind. There's no two exactly the same. But what I'm asking for the contest, or for the giveaway, is 3 kind of quick things. One, you need to be a subscriber to my channel, and I'd like to be able to verify that. So if you are entering and you've subscribed, to put your notifications on so I can view that you're a subscriber. I'd like you to like the video and comment down below. And in the comment, you can just mention which skein of yarn you like, or you can comment what you would use the yarn to make, whether it's a hat or a cowl or mittens or whatever. You want to add it in with some other yarn that you have to make something. Yeah, so just a quick comment on what you would use the yarn for, or which of the particular yarns you like. I will put a picture, actually I'll take a picture of all of the skeins and I'll insert a picture in here someplace so that you're able to pick which one, or give me an indication of which one you would like if you were the lucky winner. It's open to anyone in the world. I'm happy to ship this to international, anywhere across the US. That's fine. It's open anywhere in the world. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a quick comment about which of the skeins you like or what you would use the yarn for. Alrighty, so I don't think there's much else I'd like to talk about today. I think that's enough. Time to get going. So take care, everyone, and have a fantastic week. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye now.